For my traditional names, my Nisgat name is Timko Ayex, which is the backbone of the Copper Shield. My Simshan name is Gabahayeks, which is a new copper. So I'd like to acknowledge that we are on the ancestral and traditional territories of our Coast Salish relatives. We raise our hands for allowing them to um, having us live, work, and play in their traditional territories. We really thank them as um, we are not um, originally from these lands, and to being able to um, be here is a huge honor. And we definitely send out our love and our prayers to all of our Coast Salish relatives.
So recently, some really disturbing news did happen where 215 children were found in Kamloops, and the sad part is that's just scratching the surface. There's unfortunately more out there, and yeah, no, they didn't get to go home, and that's genuinely sad.
Mm-hmm. And our hearts go out to all those families, all those children that couldn't make it home, and just to know that it's definitely heavy on our hearts. Definitely um, sending our honor to those who couldn't be here today.
Yeah, for those who are lost, those who are forgotten, you're not lost. You're not forgotten. We're honoring your sacrifice, and we're showing that we are still here. Howdy, folks. This is episode 1 of Loretta Todd. She is a master of her craft. She's done it all, and she's doing Coyote Science. She's filming another season right now as we speak. She did Monkey Beach, and I already can see there's going to be much, much more. She is a machine. She's just going to keep on going, and I can see it.
Yeah, Loretta Todd. I absolutely loved working with her. I worked with her on Monkey Beach, and it was such an honor. We're very honored to have her on, and to where she's at now is amazing. And I really hope everyone who's watching and listening can definitely feel that as well.
She's an inspiration to us all, and it just, even when you meet her, she makes you want to write something, and she's got a true passion for film, and that's part of the reason why we gravitate toward her. I actually remember this is years ago, like 3 years, when I first met her, and she was doing another web series at the time, and I was genuinely intimidated by her, where I was like, it's just kind of funny that, to the uninitiated in film, ads had to like run the set and make sure we're staying on top of things, and I genuinely could not do that because I was just so nervous and scared with Loretta. I was just like, hey Loretta, we gotta like move on to the next scene. Okay, cool. So I I felt like a little child, and but once once I actually got to know her a little more, I became a little more casual, and yeah, so that's my first memory of her, and that's how we know her, and that's why she's here with us having this beautiful conversation. And that was, well, you're about to watch it anyway, so it'll speak for itself.
Thank you so much for being a part of this.
Oh no, I'm happy. I'm really glad I'm here. I like to support you two guys. If I could support you in more ways, I would. I'd like to put you in more movies, Nick, and I'd like to hire Mike to work on more films. So yeah, we'll keep working on it. So hopefully soon.
Oh, awesome.
Okay. Yeah, so you've been working in the industry for a very long time. What would you say changed over the years?
Well, you know, I think the first place we have to start is we have to start thinking in that linear way of time. And I'm not just saying that because I've been working in the industry for a long time, but we have to put it in a bigger perspective. We have to put it in the idea that we've been storytellers since time immemorial. So I'm just this little tiny, tiny piece in all this, centuries and many generations, many storytellers. So really that question, is a beautiful question because it extends beyond just you or me or Nick. It extends into who we are as Indigenous people. It extends into, what is storytelling? Who are storytellers? And I like to, if I go from that place, then storytellers are really critical. And I think the other thing about Indigenous people and our belief system is that we're all storytellers. The storytellers are what shapes us. It's who we are. Stories are energy. And that's the critical part of who we are as people. So I'm a very small part in this bigger universe of storytellers. In the practical part of what's been going on within this particular, what you could say is a colonial construct of a Canadian film industry. Yeah, I've seen changes for sure. It was never easy for me, as it was, I'm sure, for anyone. Everyone becoming a filmmaker, it isn't easy. Indigenous filmmakers, it's even harder. Indigenous women filmmakers, when I started, it was even harder. I had people tell me things like, well, because I wanted to do feature films back in the day, and people said, well, one guy told me once, well, women don't have authority. They don't have the kind of leadership authority to be on set to command, and Indigenous women have even less authority because I guess we're Indigenous women. I remember one guy telling me, oh, you should be so happy because you got these little cameras now and you can go tell your stories because these cameras are cheap and now you can go out and tell your stories. And I was like, hey, I want to do IMAX, So there's always been this effort to kind of limit us, contain us, tell us this is where you are, this is where you should be. That's the only place you get to be as Indigenous storytellers. And yet we're part of this universe. We're part of this continuum. We're part of this, since time immemorial storytellers on this land, in this place, So their construct is just one part of. So it's hard because certainly it's created a hurt. It was hurtful to hear those things. It was hurtful to be marginalized. It was hurtful to, not have opportunities. I had to make my own opportunities. But at the same time, I kept knowing that I was part of a bigger thing. And that bigger thing was more important than any of those disappointments or those hurts that, came at me within this industry. And so that's what made me persevere. That's what made me continue to do the work that I do. And, the changes certainly through persistence and insistence by, Indigenous storytellers and filmmakers over the years, you're starting to see those little inroads with respect to funding, those funding changes, but that didn't happen in a vacuum or in isolation. That was hard work of many people for many years saying, these cultural institutions in Canada have to be more accountable, more transparent, and have to ensure that Indigenous people have access to those resources to tell stories. We had meetings, if you look at this, a very important study that came out in 2005 called At the Crossroads, where a group of Indigenous filmmakers and producers gathered in Vancouver at the then Chief Dan George Center, which is now the Bill Reid Gallery. And we, had Telefilm and National Film Board and CBC, and I don't know who else was there. There was CMF, I guess that was before CMF, it was sort of CTF. Everybody was there. And we said, look, we've done our research, this is who we are, this is what we do, this is our recommendations with respect to your cultural institutions. We want a percentage of the funding, we want autonomy and sovereignty within the delivery of that funding. And it didn't happen. And imagine what if it had happened, you guys would have your own series on television right now. You would have, the APTN would have a budget, 3 times, 10 times what it has. So, so again, it's frustrating. So you have to take those things and go, okay, that was that, you know, we've never given up, because we're not in service to them. We're in service to our communities. We're in service to our nations. We're in service to our ancestors. So those are things that we have to do. We have to keep making those inroads, making those changes, bringing those truths forward, making those things happen. And you know, I give all props to, you know, to the hard work of many people over the years to start to see that change that we're seeing right now. And it's not just the filmmakers. You know, you also have to look at the political people. You know, the people who worked in you know, the arts, the people who worked in, you know, healthcare. All those people were, you know, continually education. The message that, you know, we are sovereign and we need sovereignty over the telling of our stories, over our healthcare, over our education. It was all part of the bigger work that has been going on for, you know, since the arrival of the newcomers.
I'm genuinely shocked that someone said that to you, that you have your own cameras, you could make your own stories. When was that?
Oh, it was probably sometime in the mid to late 90s, sort of. But you know, they said other things too. My first film called Learning Path, it was a publicist who, I mean, you know, she says, oh, well, you know, it's a hopeful film. I've said this before in other interviews. Every time I've made a film, whether it's a documentary or, you know, a drama, whatever, I've always said, what kind of film do you want to be, people in the film? And elders, veterans, all the people, they always say, every one of them have said, we want a hopeful film. And so I made a hopeful film. My first film was a hopeful film, and Learning Path. And I was just out of film school. I was a kid. I had to make it, and we shot in the coldest winter in Alberta in 10 years or 20 years or whatever. So, you know, we worked really hard. We had to basically, I was hired November 30th or November 1st or whatever, and we were shooting in January. But anyways, after that, I was being taken around by a publicist for the National Film Board, and she was a hired publicist. I don't think she worked for the film board. And we're waiting for an interview, and she says to me, oh, well, you know, but that's not the way it really is in your communities. And I went, what? She said, well, you know, it's not hopeful. It's all tragic. It's all just, you know, I mean, I don't know why, you know, telling a story of hope, you know. So there's all these kind of humiliations that, you know, I've encountered. But, you know, the thing is, it's not even though it's hurtful and it's hard not to take it personally, it's really not about me. It's about their ignorance. It's about the fact that they still continue to want to define us, and that's why we have to be persistent and have the energy to, you know, to honor our ancestors and honor the storytellers. I could tell you many stories.
Yeah, so with Monkey Beach, you know, that was an amazing experience. What was it like adapting a novel into a feature-length film?
Well, it was a long journey, as you know. It took me over 15 years to make that film. Again, that's just speaks to, you know, to the fact that you know, things haven't always been easy. And it wasn't just the first time. We were trying to make feature films back in the late 90s. You know, different people asked me to direct their scripts. I was writing scripts. You know, it's not like we weren't trying, you know. It was just like, oh, well, you know, it's not your time yet, you know, I guess. I don't know. They still didn't think that this, you know, this thing that they hold so dearly was available to us. So, you know, we had to persist and keep doing the work that we did. But so it wasn't easy. I knocked on every door. You know, I went everywhere. You know, I was, you know, fortunate to have, you know, the development support for Monkey Beach. I worked with Jeff Bear in the beginning, who's a great guy. You know, met a lot of amazing people. Was so fortunate to be able to be, you know, that he didn't even agree to let me turn it and option it and turn it into a feature film. I mean, who was I, you know? So it was a great honor. And but by that, it was important for me to really live up to that honor. But it's a book. It's a book that has, you know, many pages and many stories and many threads. And how do you take, you know, that and turn it into, you know, a feature film? I actually did take it to CBC at one point back in the day, not that long ago. Maybe 2010, 2012, somewhere in there, to see if they would fund it as a miniseries, you know, a limited series. It would have been great because there was so many parts of the story that I had to leave out, and those are heartbreaking. You know, there's so many threads of characters in the book that you know, were really important to explore. There's many places that we didn't get to go, like the Kitlope. The Kitlope's amazing. There were times when the script was 140 pages, 150 pages, and I was happy. I would have loved to have been able to do that. So I had to think about that, and I had to keep editing and streamlining and so on. But it was a heartbreak. It certainly was a heartbreak because there were so many parts of the story, so many parts of the characters, so many beautiful scenes that I had to basically eventually just let go of. But I tried to stay within the idea, what was important to me in the story, what was important to me about Lisa's journey, or Lisa Marie in the book, was that she was on this journey to, you know, embrace her medicine. So to me, that was a really important message, because as Indigenous women and Indigenous people, I think we have lots of medicine within us. We have these amazing gifts, whatever those gifts may be. We have these amazing powers. So what was important to me is to create a film in which the journey is the journey of embracing your power, embracing your medicine. And that then became the thing that was most critical to me in that storytelling. So even if I had to leave scenes out, even if I had to, you know, take elements out, maybe, you know, what was important for me is that I embodied that the characters embodied that the story embodied that the film embodied love, medicine. And in that sense, I feel very good about it. I think it honors Eden. Some people have said that the film is very close to the book, that they really feel like those characters came alive to them, characters that they had read so many times in that book and imagined them. You know, but there were some people, of course, you know, and that's always the scariest thing about adapting a beloved novel, iconic novel, really, into film, is everybody has their expectations about what the characters look like, what they sound like, you know, what they do, how, you know, all those sort of things. What's the most important parts of the film? But I think because I embraced love and medicine, in the end, that was what people were able to be immersed in and experience. And I think that's really important, because there's so much trauma in our lives, and so much intergenerational trauma and ongoing trauma of colonization, that we seldom get this moment where we just get to, you know, be enveloped with love. And that's what I set out to do. So I hope I achieve that.
So one thing I notice as an ongoing theme with you is that you like hopeful. You want that love and medicine into your work, and I personally think you translate that very well in your project.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's not easy, because there's this expectation to us to reveal our pain, put our guts out there, right? I mean, yeah, we do. We live all kinds of trauma. We live all kinds of pain, you know, so it's not to say that we can't express that and share that and you know, reveal it, make it true to the world. But I think at the same time, we have to really think about consequences of the images and how we tell the stories in the way of arriving at that. And I mean, I think it's because maybe, I don't know, I mean, it's not like I was raised traditionally or anything, but I spent enough time with old-time storytellers. I feel very fortunate that in my time of making films, I got to meet, you know, wonderful veterans who, you know, elders, you know, people over the years who, you know, went through a hell of a lot more than I ever did. And yet they were always hopeful. They always had love. They, you know, even the ones that were still struggling with their own demons, you know, even the ones who were still, you know, had every reason to be angry every day they woke up, there still was this sort of underlying hopefulness, because how else you know, how else are we going to survive? You know, if we let them get to us, then they've won, you know. So I think that's something that I really listened to. It wasn't like someone sat me down. Just watching them, observing them, seeing them in their own lives, and being fortunate to be able to be in their lives. could see that, you know, if I don't honor that, if I don't honor people who have gone through so much, who have fought so long, you know, generations of our people who have fought for our sovereignty, fought for who we are today and for our survival, for the land, for the water, all those things, then, you know, I don't think I'm really doing my job. So yeah, I hope I'm doing that. Do I ever want to do something? I'd love, I don't know, it's sort of funny because could I handle that? I can't handle horror. Back in the day, I used to be able to watch, you know, that sort of the early horror, you know, but those horrors, it was so comical that you didn't even take it really seriously. You know, some of those sort of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, things like that. I've watched those things, you know, but and it's so, like I say, it's just so beyond the pale that, you know, you don't really kind of inhabit it at all. But nowadays, horror has become so, I don't know. It's like Stephen King said in an interview I saw. He said the monster wins, and so he doesn't like a lot of modern day horror because for him, for him and his stories, the monster doesn't win. So I think that's the thing for me. You know, I'm not doing horror, but I'm making sure the monster doesn't win. Even, you know, the monster being colonization, not white people. You know, it's not like it's, you know, it's not personalized that way, but colonization, you know, is the monster. You know, I don't want the monster to win.
Yeah, no. Once again, you are doing a great job. So when I would say that, or no, I would make an educated guess that your movies is meant for the youth and elders, correct?
Well, someone said that, like, about Monkey Beach. They said, oh, the grandmas will really like Monkey Beach.
No.
I didn't know whether that meant, was that a good thing or a bad thing? What were they trying to say to me? You know, I don't know. I mean, I'd like to think, yeah, definitely the youth and elders, because, you know, that was a lesson. That's what I was told is my job. That's all our jobs, you know. That's a cultural lesson that was taught to me when I was younger, is that there is a circle, and in the middle of the circle are the elders and the children, because the elders are passing on the knowledge to the children, and the children also have messages of, you know, that they have the spirit language, if you like, because they've come from, you know, the universe. So they have this very important relationship that goes on for every nation, for every people. And so we are the circle outside, and we are the circle protecting. And that's where I get into this sort of thing about, oh, we're supposed to be this linear passage that says, oh, well, you know, you're young or you're old or you're this or you're that. We're all, it doesn't matter where we are in our life. We are there to protect the children and the elders and the stories and the cultural knowledge. So yeah, I guess in that sense that I do try to do that. I do try to look at it from that perspective of how can I serve the elders and the children. You know, what good am I going to bring? And, you know, how am I going to honor that relationship that they have and that I am, you know, being entrusted with? All of us have been entrusted with. So I do try to do that for sure. But at the same time, you know, in Monkey Beach, the music's pretty cool. You know, Coyote's Crazy Smart Science Show, you know, I got Mob Bounce and Coyote's Crazy Smart Science Show. I got, you know, DJ Kukub, you know, she's, you know, bringing the beats, and you know, so lucky that Snotty Nose Rez Kids was part of, you know, it. And you know, going back to my first children's series, Nahia Waitin, you know, Oz 12 did the music, you know, so I was 4 to 6 year olds, but it was hip, it was cool, you know. I was so I'm always kind of weaving that sort of many generations together, children and youth and adults and elders all together, because that's the life that we have to live, you know. So yeah, so I think, and then I like to think, I deliberately in Monkey Beach chose a cast that I thought was very, well, everyone's stunningly beautiful, but I mean, so there was a kind of I was thinking about the commerciality of it, that, you know, it would look really good on camera, it would look really good on the screen, to honor the amazing people like Nick, and, you know, Grace Dove and all the beautiful people who were part of the film. And it's not just physical beauty, but it's the you know, internal beauty, to bring that to the world was really important. So yeah, I'd like to think I'm speaking to many generations.
It helps show that you know, to not only the youth out there, but to all Indigenous you know, viewers who are watching, that, you know, they're seeing their own people, they're hearing their own people, and that's quite empowering. So I really raise my hands up to you for that, for the amazing, beautiful work that you're continuously doing.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Okay, so any other questions?
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much. I really value your time. I hope this is helpful to your listeners. Happy to, you know, go into depth if you want to do another session sometime. You know,
Oh, absolutely.
so many things to talk about. I'd be happy to do that. And yeah, no, I really value the work you guys are doing, and hope soon we can work together again, both of you. And I'm really glad you're doing this. So yeah, so take care, and you know, looking forward to the series. And yeah, let me know if I can help in any way for your project.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much, Loretta. Before you go, we do have a gift for you that we'll be sending off. This is a piece from my dad, Mike D'Angeli. It's called Tricksters, a storyteller.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So we'll be sending that to you for taking the time and energy of coming in, helping us out with this podcast.
Thank you so much, and love to your dad, and to Miguela, and to the baby, and to all your family, and to Mike. You know, I'm so glad to have you on my projects. I'd like to have you more, and take care, and good luck with all your projects, you guys. You're really inspirational.
No, thank you. That means a lot from you.
You too, take care. Okay.
All right, you too.
Yeah. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You know, I want to definitely, you know, raise my hands to our guests.
Thank you all. And where you can find us, you ask. Well, Nick, where can they find us?
Where can they find us is right now we are getting a Instagram. Doesn't make the cut. You can find our YouTube page over on YouTube at Doesn't Make the Cut. You can find us as well individually if you want to, you know, see where we're going in our own careers as well. Me at Nick D'Angeli on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that amazing stuff. I also have my film production company, D'Angeli Productions, also on YouTube as well.
Yeah. We plan on streaming eventually, and we have a YouTube channel as well. And yeah, thank you for tuning in. We hope to see you in the next episode. As usual, friends, as usual, fam, we love you. Everyone who's here supporting us, and those of you who are watching, I want you to know that you are loved, you are cared, and you're doing the best that you can. And sometimes that's all anyone can ever ask for.